Have you ever stopped to wonder why, despite all the plans you make, the ideas you nurture, and the dreams you chase, you seem to get tangled in your own web? It's a sobering thought that the very person holding you back might be the one staring back at you in the mirror. There's no greater irony than wanting something with all your heart and simultaneously building the walls that keep it out. Yet this is the human condition, isn't it? We are creatures of paradox, endlessly longing for freedom while gripping tightly to the chains that bind us. And these chains, they don't always look like chains. Sometimes they look like excuses. I don't have enough time. I'm not ready yet. Or what if I fail? Sometimes they masquerade as noble intentions, like waiting for the perfect opportunity or trying to avoid mistakes. But let's be honest, perfectionism is just fear wearing a suit, and avoidance isn't a strategy. It's a retreat. The truth is, most of us aren't stopped by the external obstacles we face. We're stopped by the stories we tell ourselves about why we can't overcome them. It's a hard thing to admit that we are our own saboteurs. It hurts to recognize that the barriers we think are keeping us safe are actually keeping us small. But here's the good news. If you built the wall, you can tear it down. And that starts with recognizing that the problem isn't the wall itself. It's your belief that the wall is permanent. As the saying goes, you can't solve a problem you refuse to acknowledge. So let's acknowledge it. Let's call it by its name. Self-doubt, fear of failure, fear of success, procrastination, perfectionism, whatever your particular flavor of resistance might be. These are not fixed parts of your personality. They are habits of thought, patterns you've repeated so often that they feel like truth. But they are not truth. They are only the stories you've rehearsed. And the most beautiful thing about a story is that it can be rewritten. Think about that for a moment. You have the power to rewrite your own narrative. You are not your past mistakes, your missed opportunities, or your moments of hesitation. You are the author of your life, and every day you're given a blank page. What will you write on it? But here's where it gets tricky. Change isn't easy because the habits that hold us back are comfortable. They're familiar. And as much as we crave growth, we fear the discomfort that comes with it. There's a reason why people say, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. But let me challenge that. What if the devil you know is stealing your potential, your joy, your very future? Is that a price you're willing to pay for the comfort of familiarity? We've all heard the phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But strength doesn't come from avoiding discomfort. It comes from facing it head on. It comes from stepping into the unknown, risking failure, and choosing to grow even when it's hard. As Viktor Frankl once said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And that's the key, isn't it? Change yourself. Change the way you see your fears. Change the way you respond to your doubts. Change the way you interpret failure. Because failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a step on the way to it. Every stumble, every setback, every rejection is teaching you something you need to know to move forward. The question is, will you learn from it or will you let it define you? There's a powerful moment that happens when you realize that you don't need anyone else's permission to step into your greatness. You don't need the stars to align, the timing to be perfect, or the conditions to be ideal. You only need to decide. To decide that your dreams are worth the effort, that your goals are worth the risk, and that you are worth the investment. But let me warn you, the moment you make that decision, everything inside you will resist it. Your mind will come up with 1,000 reasons why you should wait, why it's too hard, why it's not the right time. And that's when you need to remind yourself of this truth. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of it. Fear is a natural part of growth. It's your mind's way of trying to keep you safe, to protect you from pain or failure. But safety is not the goal. Growth is. And growth requires risk. It requires stepping out of your comfort zone and into the uncertainty of the unknown. But isn't that what makes life worth living? The possibility that just beyond your fear lies everything you've ever wanted? So what are you afraid of? Is it failure? Let me tell you this. Failure is not the end of the road. It's a bend in the road. Is it judgment? Remember that people will judge you no matter what you do. So you might as well give them something to talk about. Is it not being good enough? Let me remind you that you are a work in progress. And progress, not perfection, is what matters. The truth is, you are more capable than you think, braver than you feel, and stronger than you know. The walls you've built around yourself are not insurmountable. They're made of paper, not stone. And the only thing keeping them standing is your belief that they're real. So I ask you again, what is holding you back? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it? Will you continue to stand in your own way, or will you step aside and let your potential shine through? Will you let your fears dictate your life, or will you face them and move forward anyway? Remember this, you are the architect of your life. You can choose to build walls, or you can choose to build bridges. You can choose to stay safe, or you can choose to grow, but you cannot do both. The choice is yours. Always has been, always will be. Thank you all for being here today. It's not every day we pause to reflect on something so simple yet so profound. The reality that our lives are shaped not by what happens to us, but by how we respond to it. Most of us walk through life waiting for something external to shift. The circumstances, the people, the opportunity. We pin our hopes on the idea that when the world changes, we'll finally be able to step into the life we've always imagined. But the hard truth, and also the most liberating one, is that the key to transformation isn't out there, it's in here. It's in how we think, how we act, and how we choose to show up every single day. Change begins the moment you decide to stop standing in your own way. And make no mistake, that decision is a battle. It's a battle against every excuse you've ever made, every story you've told yourself about why you can't or why you shouldn't. It's a battle against the voice inside your head that whispers, what if you fail? Or what if you're not good enough? But here's the thing, that voice is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Fear doesn't exist to stop you. It exists to test you. It asks, how much do you really want this? Are you willing to risk discomfort, uncertainty, even failure to go after what matters to you? And what a question that is. Most of us, if we're honest, are afraid to answer it. We'd rather stay in the realm of what could be than risk the pain of what didn't work out. But let me tell you something, avoiding failure is the quickest way to guarantee regret. As Mark Twain so eloquently put it, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. So if you're gonna fail, fail boldly, fail gloriously, fail forward, because failure isn't the end of the road, it's a step along the way. Think about a time in your life when you felt stuck, when it seemed like no matter what you did, you couldn't move forward. Now ask yourself this, was it really the external circumstances holding you back, or was it something internal? Was it fear of failure, or perhaps fear of success? Was it the need for approval, the fear of rejection, or the desire to stay comfortable? Whatever it was, recognize this. The obstacle wasn't out there. It was in here. It was the belief that you couldn't, or shouldn't, or weren't ready. But that belief is just a thought, and thoughts can be changed. You are not a prisoner of your past, nor are you a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your future. Every decision you make, every action you take is a brick in the foundation of the life you're building. The question is, are you building something that reflects your dreams and values, or are you building something small and safe because you're afraid to reach higher? Remember, safety is an illusion. There's no such thing as a risk-free life. Even staying exactly where you are comes with the risk of stagnation, the risk of looking back one day and realizing you didn't live up to your potential. So what does it mean to step aside and let your potential shine? It means embracing the discomfort of growth. It means showing up even when you don't feel ready, taking action even when you're scared, and persisting even when the results aren't immediate. It means trusting that the process will teach you what you need to know even if you don't have all the answers right now. As the great philosopher Rumi said, as you start to walk on the way appears. The truth is, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the belief that you're not capable of achieving it. But let me tell you this, you are capable. You are more capable than you can possibly imagine. The human spirit is astonishingly resilient. It can endure hardship, adapt to change, and rise to challenges in ways that defy logic and reason. You are capable of greatness, not because of some extraordinary talent or gift, but because you are human. And to be human is to have the capacity for growth. But here's the catch. Growth isn't automatic. It doesn't happen just because you want it to. It happens because you choose it. It happens because you're willing to do the hard work, to face your fears, to make mistakes and learn from them. It happens because you're willing to take responsibility for your life and stop waiting for someone else to do it for you. As Jim Rohn once said, you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. And that change of direction, it starts with one decision, the decision to stop standing in your own way. Every great achievement in history began with someone who was willing to take a step into the unknown. They didn't wait for the perfect moment, they created it. They didn't let fear paralyze them, they let it propel them. And they didn't let failure define them, they let it refine them. You can do the same. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. So let me ask you this. What's one step you can take today, right now, that moves you closer to your goals? Don't think about the whole journey, just think about the next step. Maybe it's making that phone call, or sending that email, or taking that class you've been putting off. Maybe it's setting aside time to work on your dream, or finally letting go of something that's been holding you back. Whatever it is, do it. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because here's the thing, life doesn't wait, time doesn't stop. Every day you spend standing in your own way is a day you can't get back. And while you can't change the past, you have full control over the present. You have the power to decide right now that you will no longer let fear, doubt, or hesitation dictate your life. Remember, the greatest victories are not the ones we win against others, but the ones we win against ourselves. When you conquer your fears, you gain courage. When you overcome your doubts, you gain confidence. And when you stop standing in your own way, you gain freedom, the freedom to become everything you were meant to be. So take a deep breath and step aside. Let your potential shine. Let your courage lead. Let your dreams take flight, because the life you want isn't waiting for the world to change. It's waiting for you to decide that you're ready. And you are. You've always been ready. All you have to do is believe it.